Jimmy popping all that bullshit. I be seeing you, Jimmy, talking about we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. The Black King was going fuck Jimmy like Marita Moneda.
The internet did not just break today. It collapsed. It erupted. It spiraled into a digital war zone the moment 50 Cent pressed upload on the most brutal, unfiltered, career-ending clip the rap game has seen in years. In one explosive drop, 50 didn't just come for Jim Jones, he detonated every lie, every flip-flop, every fake alliance Jim has been hiding behind for 2 decades. This wasn't petty trolling. This was a full-blown public execution, and hip-hop has been in meltdown ever since. Because the footage 50 leaked, it wasn't old, it wasn't rumored, it wasn't recycled. It was new, raw, and undeniable Jim Jones on camera switching sides faster than a broken weather vane, trash-talking Jay-Z 1 minute, begging for Roc Nation approval the next, and somehow still finding time to throw Nas under the bus like he wasn't a foundational pillar of the culture. Fans didn't know whether to scream, laugh, or call for help. Twitter exploded first, then Instagram, then TikTok, a full trifecta of chaos. Clips of 50 Cent dragging Jim Jones spread faster than wildfire. Memes hit the timeline like bullets. Old interviews resurfaced like ghosts. Leaked messages dropped like grenades. And for the first time in years, hip-hop fans agreed on something. 50 didn't come to play, he came to expose. And the wildest part? The leaked clip wasn't the bombshell. It was the warning shot. The moment 50 Cent dropped the unreleased footage, the entire hip-hop world went silent for a split second, just long enough for the shock to settle, before it erupted into absolute chaos. The clip didn't ease in. It didn't warm up. It started with 50's voice slicing through the dark like a razor. This boy Jimmy been switching sides so long he don't even know which team he playing for anymore. And then the camera shifted, revealing Jim Jones pacing inside a dim studio, ranting about Jay-Z like he was still in 2006, still fighting a war nobody else was even thinking about. Only this time, there was no anger in his voice, just panic. Panic that the industry was moving without him. Panic that the culture had passed him by. Panic that without a cosign, his relevance was hanging by a single, frayed thread. But the real earthquake hit when 50 played the second part of the tape. Jim Jones leaning into the mic, whispering into his phone. "Yo, bro. If Hove see this, just tell him I'm ready. I'm done with all that old beef. I'm trying to get in the building." The man who spent 13 years dragging Jay-Z, like it was a full-time job, was now begging for a seat at Roc Nation like a teenager, begging for prom night. The internet exploded. Fans said it felt like watching someone switch religions mid-prayer. But the twist wasn't Jim begging. The twist was what came next. A voice on the other end of the call. Calm, cold, unmistakable. Jay-Z's longtime right-hand guy saying, "If you want in, you gon' have to stop talking crazy about Nas. We don't play both sides over here." That single sentence sent shockwaves so violent that Twitter had to temporarily throttle replies, because the platform couldn't handle the traffic. Architects of beef were now architects of business. Lines were being redrawn. Alliances were being negotiated. And Jim Jones was caught right in the center, trying to switch jerseys mid-season without anyone noticing. But 50 noticed. 50 always notices. The next leak came from a completely different angle. TMZ-style footage of Jim Jones stumbling out of a Manhattan restaurant, drunk and loud, yelling at someone off camera. "Man, Hove owe me. He owe me for even keeping his name alive in these streets." The hypocrisy was so thick it practically dripped from the screen. That clip alone could have ruined him. But then someone sent 50 the DMs. Direct messages between Jim and a shady, unknown industry fixer who promised him a fast track into Roc Nation if he was willing to publicly disrespect Nas one more time. The fixer's message was brutal. "You need a moment. Hit Nas again. Make it loud. Make it stupid. People gon' react. Jay likes noise." Jim's response? "Bet. Say no more." Fans stared at the screenshot like they were staring at a crime scene. Suddenly, Jim's random interview where he claimed he was more influential than Nas made perfect sense. It wasn't confidence. It wasn't ego. It was strategy. A desperate, sloppy, reckless strategy to get the approval of a man he'd spent half his career attacking. But the biggest bombshell didn't come from 50, it came from a whistleblower, a former Dipset videographer who'd been holding on to a vault of clips no one had ever seen. Clips of Jim mocking Jay-Z behind the scenes, while simultaneously praising him in public interviews. Clips of him cursing out Cameron for not getting me closer to Hove faster. Clips of him bragging about his ability to manipulate the media. But the worst clip, the one that sent the internet into cardiac arrest, was recorded during a late-night studio rant, Jim pacing back and forth, sweaty, furious, saying, "I'm bigger than Nas. I'm more relevant than Nas. Matter fact, I made Nas hot again. He should thank me." The delusion was so wild that people genuinely thought the audio had to be AI generated. But then the videographer posted the raw time-stamped file. Jim's voice. Jim's face. Jim's meltdown. No edits. No trickery. Just pure ego combusting on camera. 50 reposted it with a simple caption, "Man, this boy losing his mind." By the next morning, the timeline was a battleground. Memes flew like shrapnel. Old interviews resurfaced where Jim called Jay corporate trash. Fan compilations dropped comparing Jim's insults to his sudden praise. Reaction videos multiplied by the hour. Twitter Spaces turned into courtroom hearings with thousands of listeners demanding answers. But the real twist came when 50 leaked the phone call not between Jim and Jay, but between Jim and a Roc Nation rep who made the entire situation feel like a setup from the beginning. The rep told him straight, "Hove don't care about that old beef, but you better show respect." Jones replied with a shaky laugh, "Say no more. I'll handle Nas." And then the rep said something that shook the culture to its core. "Just don't make it look desperate." The internet froze. Because that single line explained everything: the interviews, the flip-flopping, the sudden Nas disrespect. Jim wasn't speaking from the heart. He was following instructions. Instructions he was too desperate, too eager, too hungry for relevance to question. But then, 50 played the final part of the recording, Jim asking, "If I take the heat for this, Hove gon' look out, right?" The rep hesitated. "We'll see." The betrayal in that pause was so brutal it almost felt scripted. Jim Jones had sold out a legend, disrespected a pillar of the culture, dragged his own credibility through the mud, and Roc Nation didn't even guarantee him the cosign. The internet smelled blood. Nas's fans piled on. Jay's fans called it embarrassing. Dipset fans mourned the downfall of someone they once respected. And 50? He just watched the world burn, dropping clip after clip, leak after leak, feeding the chaos like gasoline to a wildfire. Just when the dust seemed to settle, another anonymous file landed in 50's inbox. A backstage recording. A heated argument. Two voices shouting. One of them unmistakably Jim's. The other? Jay-Z. And the moment 50 played that audio, the entire internet lost its mind. Because Jay wasn't just confronting Jim. He was accusing him of something even worse than disrespect. Something that would flip this entire saga upside down. And destroy whatever reputation Jim had left. When 50 Cent leaked the backstage audio, the internet didn't just explode, it vaporized. The clip began with muffled voices behind a curtain. The sounds of a venue winding down. Security chatter echoing faintly. Then suddenly, the audio sharpened, picking up every syllable with ruthless clarity. Jay-Z's voice cut through the background like a quiet blade. "So you really out here using my name to start beef with Nas?" The room went silent. Fans froze mid-scroll. Reaction channels started recording instantly, hands shaking with excitement. Jim Jones' voice came next, nervous, trying to sound tough but cracking under the pressure. "Hove, that ain't how it happened. People twisting things. You know how this industry go." Jay didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The weight of his silence was enough to suffocate the atmosphere. Then he spoke again. Measured. Controlled. Lethal. You said you owed me for making you viral. You said disrespecting Nas was a strategy. You said you were doing it for us. Jim rushed in, voice frantic. I didn't mean it like that. Look. I was trying to get the attention back on the movement. Trying to show I'm a team player. Jay's reply was, ice cold. A team player? By coming after a legend? The audio crackled with tension. Heavy, suffocating, career-shattering tension. And then came the twist. A slap not physical, but verbal landing with brutal precision. Jay said, You're not on my team, Jim. You never were. The internet erupted so violently that the trending page turned into a full disaster zone. Clips of Jay-Z's line repeated like a death toll. Memes flooded the timeline showing Jim Jones being benched from a team he was never actually part of. Fans went wild dissecting every breath, every pause, every syllable. Overnight, Jim transformed from rapper to public spectacle. But 50 Cent wasn't done. He posted the second half of the audio, something even darker, more incriminating. The part where Jay accused Jim of leaking insider information. You've been running your mouth to people you shouldn't, saying things that don't add up, and I'm hearing about conversations you weren't supposed to repeat. That's dangerous. The entire culture stopped breathing. Jim stuttered. That's not me. I ain't leaking nothing. Who told you that? Jay responded with a line that sent chills down the internet's spine. Doesn't matter who told me. The streets talk. The industry talks. And you've been talking too much. The audio ended abruptly, like someone hit stop mid-confrontation. But the damage was done. Jay-Z had essentially accused Jim Jones of being a rat without using the word. And in hip-hop? That accusation is nuclear. Within minutes, social media imploded. Twitter space rooms filled with thousands. YouTube live streams went live at 3 a.m. Reddit threads exploded with theories. Old footage resurfaced of Jim bragging about knowing things he shouldn't. Rumors circulated that he'd been spilling secrets for years. Even rappers who hadn't tweeted in months jumped in to laugh, react, or throw gasoline on the fire. But the biggest explosion came when someone leaked the text messages. Actual screenshots between Jim Jones and the same Roc Nation rep from the earlier audio. The messages were chaotic, desperate, and incriminating. If I make the Nas thing loud enough, will Hove see it? Rep. He sees everything. Just don't overdo it. I'll go viral. I know how to push buttons. Rep. Jay don't like sloppy work. Trust me, I got this. The internet lost its mind. Jim didn't just randomly disrespect Nas, he planned it, he pitched it, he executed it, as a clout strategy. Suddenly, everything he'd been saying in interviews sounded like lines from a badly rehearsed script. But then things got even uglier. A whistleblower, someone claiming to be deep inside Roc Nation, posted a voice note, a secret recording. Their voice masked, distorted, untraceable. They said, Jim been trying to play both sides. He's been feeding stories to blogs for years. He's been leaking conversations. He's been flipping alliances like playing cards. And Hove finally caught him slipping. People didn't know what to believe. But the chaos was too delicious to resist. 50 Cent reposted the voice note within minutes with no caption at all, just letting the world chew on the implications. And the internet did. It tore into Jim like a feeding frenzy. Reaction videos labeled him everything from opportunist to double agent. Old interviews with Dipset resurfaced, showing Jim bragging about knowing industry secrets. Everything now had a new, toxic context. But the darkest twist came late that night. A viral clip dropped from an anonymous burner account. A clip showing Jim Jones in a green room during a festival, ranting into his phone. You think I care about Nas? Man, I only brought him up because they told me to make noise. Noise gets you deals. Noise gets you into the room. Nas ain't doing nothing for me. And then the kicker. I'll say whatever I gotta say if it gets me closer to Jay. Fans gasped, tweeted, speculated, screamed. Even people who weren't part of the culture tuned in to witness the meltdown unfolding in real time. It was spiraling out of control so fast that even Jim's PR team couldn't keep up. He went live on Instagram at nearly 4 a.m. Eyes red, voice shaking, rambling about loyalty, miscommunication, the media twisting his words. But the comments dragged him non-stop. People demanded answers, receipts, explanations. Jim offered none. Because 50 had one more trick. He posted a screen recording. A phone conversation between two industry insiders. One of them saying, "Jim really thought Jay was gonna save him. Jay just used him as leverage. Now he out here burning bridges with Nas for nothing." The world reacted instantly, brutally, gleefully. But the real dagger, the real earthquake, the real chaos ignition switch, came from Jay-Z's camp. Someone leaked another clip. A short one. Only 6 seconds long. But 6 seconds that would end careers. Jay's voice saying, "Bring me everything you got on Jim. All of it." The internet screamed. Every platform melted. Comment sections flooded. Hip-hop hadn't seen a moment this explosive in years. Jim Jones had officially gone from rapper to liability. But the biggest betrayal, the deepest wound, the sharpest twist, was still loading. Because early the next morning, another file appeared in 50 Cent's inbox. A secret recording. A much longer one. A recording that didn't just expose Jim Jones. It exposed someone else. Someone far bigger. Someone no one expected. And the moment 50 heard it, he laughed so loud the entire industry felt it. Because this recording was the one that would destroy everything. Forever. When 50 Cent opened the new audio file, even he wasn't ready for what came out of the speakers. The clip didn't just expose Jim Jones, it detonated a bomb that sent shockwaves through the top floors of the industry. It began with muffled static, then the unmistakable click of a phone being set down on a table. Voices murmured in the background. Papers shuffling. Someone pouring a drink. Then, clear as daylight, Jay-Z's voice, "I'm done giving chances. If he wants to play games, he about to learn how small this world really is." But Jay wasn't talking to Jim. He was talking about him. And the person he was talking to? The entire internet froze when the second voice came through. Nas. Yes, Nas. The man Jim Jones had disrespected. The man Jim tried to use as a stepping stone. The man Jim publicly claimed he was more influential than. That man was now in a private room with Jay-Z. Together. And they were discussing Jim Jones. Nas spoke first, calm and surgical. "I don't care if he disrespected me. That's clout chasing. That's desperation. I don't even lose sleep over it." Jay sighed, frustrated. It ain't about disrespect. It's about stupidity. He let people gas him up. He thought he could manipulate both sides. And now he's drowning. Nas chuckled. "He's been drowning. You just finally stopped pretending he could swim." The internet had a collective heart attack. Fans had spent decades imagining a Jay-Z and Nas conversation. But a conversation about taking down Jim Jones? That was another universe entirely. Then Jay dropped the line that turned the entire rap world upside down. You know the worst part? He tried to use my name and your name like chess pieces. Now he got to deal with the board flipping. The audio shifted. Papers moved. Someone exhaled sharply. Nas spoke again. "You want me to play my part?" Jay didn't hesitate. "I want the truth out. All of it. Every clip, every quote, every time he tried to start something with your name." For the first time in years, Jay and Nas sounded like allies. A united front. And Jim Jones was the enemy. The file played on. Nas asked, "So what's the play?" Jay answered with a line that would later become the most quoted phrase on social media. "Let the truth leak. He'll bury himself deeper than we ever could." The audio ended. The internet imploded. Fans screamed in comment sections, dissecting every word, speculating about secret alliances, re-editing old Nas and Jay footage to match this new narrative. Twitter was on fire. TikTok went into full meltdown mode. Instagram had to limit comments on every post involving Jim Jones because the flood was uncontrollable. Jim Jones' name shot to #1 trending worldwide. But 50 Cent wasn't finished. Minutes after posting the Jay-Nas conversation, he uploaded a second clip. A video of Jim Jones inside a hotel suite, screaming into a phone, pacing so aggressively the camera shook. He was in full meltdown mode. Ayo, why he talking to Nas about me? Why he even bringing my name up? Why they moving like this? Yo, what is this? What is happening right now? He punched a wall. A lamp fell over. Someone off camera tried to calm him down. Jim snapped at them. Don't touch me. This some sabotage. Somebody's setting me up. But the worst part was what he said next. If Jay and Nas come after me together, it's over. My whole career done. Everything done. The internet savored every second. But 50 Cent had one final nuke. A leaked group chat between Roc Nation executives discussing Jim Jones. The messages were merciless. Exec 1. He's unpredictable. We can't trust him. Exec 2. He talks too much. Exec 3. Jay said keep him outside the door. Exec 4. He thinks signing paperwork means he's in the inner circle. Exec 5. He don't realize he was never in the circle. Fans read those lines like they were reading the obituary of Jim's career. But there was one message in the chat that triggered an internet-wide scream. Exec 2. Did you hear what he said about Nas? Exec 3. Yeah. Jay was furious. Exec 4. This is gonna implode. Exec 1. Let it. And then the final message. Exec 5. He was a temporary asset. Now he's a liability. The timeline burst into flames. Memes popped up instantly showing Jim Jones being kicked out of imaginary Roc Nation meetings, sitting alone at brunch tables, holding a sign that said "Will diss legends for validation." But while fans laughed, Jim wasn't laughing. He went live again. Tears in his eyes. Voice shaking. He muttered, I ain't do nothing wrong. They twisting everything. They trying to play me. Yo, I showed love. Why they doing this? The comments were brutal. Nobody believed him. Nobody defended him. The tide had turned. For the first time in his career, Jim Jones was facing the full weight of the culture turning its back on him, and he couldn't talk his way out of it. Then things got worse. Another audio file leaked. Jim Jones on a phone call with someone he thought he could trust. He said, I'll expose everything if they keep playing with me. Don't push me. I'll let the whole world know who really fake. But the person he said it to was secretly recording. And that person sent the file to 50 Cent. Within seconds, 50 posted it. And the world went insane. People speculated for hours. Was Jim threatening Jay? Nas? Roc Nation? Dipset? The industry? The culture? Nobody knew. But everyone knew one thing. Jim Jones was spiraling. And then came the final clip of the night. A shaky video filmed outside a studio. Jim Jones storming out, red-faced, screaming at someone following him. He yelled, Tell Hove I'm not scared of him. Tell Nas I ain't scared. Tell everybody. I'll say what I want. The camera shook as he lunged toward it before the video cut out. Fans stared at their screens in disbelief. Jim wasn't just losing the battle. He was losing control of reality. But the true cliffhanger came when 50 posted one final message. A single sentence. Y'all ready for the final leak? And the internet held its breath. Because according to 50's caption, this last leak wasn't about Jim Jones. This one dragged someone even bigger into the fire. Someone whose name would shake hip-hop to its core. Someone nobody expected. And 50 promised to drop it at midnight. If you made it this far, heart pounding, mind racing, staring at your screen like you just witnessed the collapse of an entire era, then you already understand what's happening. Hip-hop is not just shifting, it is shaking, it is splitting open, it is exposing everything and everyone in its path. And when 50 Cent says he's dropping the final leak at midnight, believe this. It won't just be another clip. It won't just be another audio file. It won't just be another embarrassing meltdown. It will be the moment the culture redraws its battle lines. The moment someone at the very top of the industry gets dragged into the fire. The moment every fan, every blogger, every rapper, every critic holds their breath. And if you miss that moment, you won't just be behind, you'll be lost, because whatever comes next is going to rewrite the narrative you thought you understood. Careers will shift, allegiances will break, entire legacies may crumble in real time. So don't just watch, lock in. Hit that like button right now so this video pushes to the top before midnight hits. Drop your predictions in the comments, because the theories are already spiraling out of control and the best ones might make it into our next breakdown. And whatever you do, subscribe, because the next chapter in this saga is coming fast, coming fierce, and coming with receipts that will change everything you think you know. Stay alert, stay ready, and do not blink. The final leak is coming.